welcome to another Dragon-Fall chat. This is we've got Alasdair Cunningham joining us, and as always, Josh. And today we're just going to talk about beards. We're just going to talk about how big our beards are. I have the smallest beard.
That's it.
It's sad, but no, Alasdair. A lot of people may know, like who would watch this, would know your work from Bushido, but we're gonna go deep dive. Josh, you've got some pointed questions for our friend Alasdair, I believe.
Yeah. I was going to start with asking you what you're working on now.
It's quite a bit actually. I've got a massive project on with Chaosium, who were kind enough to take me on board as a writer, and we've got a project with them that runs until next year. So that probably won't be in print for another 2 or 3 years, because of their schedule. You know, I'm probably about 4 or 5 in the queue. I'm working on that at the moment, and I'm sure we can discuss a bit more about that later. Currently, I'm working on the Bushido law book, the fact book. For those that know, the rules this year just had the rules, because we felt that it was prudent just to get them out and then focus on a proper book afterwards, which is going to be pretty big. So I'm working on that, and it's a lot of detail. It goes into life in the islands. It gets behind the sort of more of the skullduggery of what's happening, you know, between the different clans, and it goes into just examining more of the isles. You know, so there's a bit more about the police, you know, the place and the people, and like sort of little specifics like forests and caves and, you know, little villages and hamlets and things like that. So that's what I'm working on the RPG. Yep.
I was going to ask a question about that. Yeah, can you hear me? I interrupted you. I thought you were pausing there for a second, so I apologize.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the Bushido stuff, with the lore stuff in general, so you can't talk about the Chaosium stuff right now because in NDA, I'm sure. But the lore stuff's kind of interesting to me. Like, how much of an effort are you putting into? Because I know it's fantasy oriented for that realm.
Yeah.
But you know, like working with more of the lore stuff rather than the rule stuff. Like you've got some, you know, you're working in a history of Asia. Like, so, like, is there like special treatment you're doing with that just to make sure that there's not like concerns with appropriation and stuff?
Well, with regards to appropriation, I mean, it's a case of, I mean, it is fantasy at the end of the day, but obviously you don't want to come across as, you know, you don't want to come across as appropriating anything. So to me, it's all about research, man. You know, it's all about getting into the history books from all of those cultures, because you're not just taking you know, a piece of one culture and a piece of another culture and a piece of another culture and sort of smushing it together, you know, like a lot of companies do. You're actually getting to the, you know, as an example, like Japan, you know, we're looking at everything from weather patterns to, you know, rainfall to rice production, rice harvest, you know, what kind of wood was used, what kind of tools were used to fashion the wood, you know, just as an example. So it's a real, or for want of a better word, deep dive into it, you know, how they fashion swords, what was the process, what kind of steel, what made the weapon stand out, you know, things like that. So it's historically, it's going to be hopefully as accurate as possible.
That's good.
But obviously, again, within the realms of a fantasy.
Yeah, there's going to be Oni and stuff like that, and I think people appreciate that level of detail and respect given, especially when you're writing in like another, you know, another time period and another region of the world. So, but I kind of interrupted you. We've got a little bit of delay because you are in South Africa, and we are in Chicago.
That's correct. Yeah.
So, I thought you were pausing there. So you were telling us about a third project, which is, I'm sure, very exciting as well. So.
Yeah, well, I've got a graphic novel that I'm working on, which will be coming out hopefully in March, April next year. That has been, it started life as a short story, and I sent off a couple of like a sample script, and managed to meet an artist in South America. He's an Argentinian guy, and his art I've been looking for an artist for a while, and I came across his stuff and it just blew me away. So I contacted him, and he was keen. So we did a six-page sample, sent it away, and we got a contract within a week. Yeah, so that's coming out. It's slightly different. It's not your normal sort of superhero genre. It's about a blues musician, because music is also a huge part of my life. So it's about a blues musician who is sort of at the end of his career, and he's burned a lot of bridges along the way, and he's done a lot of damage to himself and to other people. And there's a kind of a supernatural element to it as well, a bit of a horror sort of spin on it. But yeah, without giving too much away, that's what's coming out next year as well.
Well, you're not going to tell us the twist right now?
What's it?
I was like, you're not going to give us the twist right now in this? Come on, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. You got a little bit of a hiccup.
No, the twist. It's basically yeah, it's you're gonna have there's a fan that's kind of stalking him with a slightly supernatural bent, and yeah, that's about all I'm going to say for now. But it's been an experience, because the guy that I'm working with, he speaks virtually no English, and obviously I don't speak any Spanish. So it's been a real experience. But this guy is just super talented. He's been making comics all over South America, and I honestly think that South American artists have a slightly different style when it comes to drawing and coloring and inking. And it stands out immediately, So I'm really excited about that. I'm really happy.
What's his name? We can give him a little plug in the bottom in the links.
It's Hiorsh, so it's Hiorsh, and yeah, he's done loads of stuff, man. He's really busy, really popular.
Tell me, stop me if you don't want.
I think the comics industry. I mean,
sorry. I was going to say,
carry on.
Stop me if you don't want me to say anything, but I've seen a little bit of the artwork from those pages, and it's really cool. It's got a very raw.
It is cool. It is cool.
Raw vibe, and I'm pretty excited to read the whole thing.
Yeah. I think what excited me about him the most is the fact that he starts off on pencil. And he draws everything up on paper first, and then once he's happy with that, then he starts to slowly ink it, and then it gets turned onto computer files. Whereas a lot of guys just start straight on the computer. He actually takes the pages and sticks them together and does it sort of old school, which is great. And that's exactly what I was looking for. So it's all done, for want of a better word, by hand, as opposed to on a computer screen. So yeah, it's great. It's great. It's been a huge learning curve. Because normally writing for any other medium other than, let's say, role-playing games, or it really has. But as I said, I'm hoping by March it will be finished, and then we can get it out. It's going to be released exclusively in America. It's going to hopefully be launched at one of the conventions, depending on what happens next year with regards to COVID and mass meetings. But so it should be out to release at one of the Comic Cons next year. And it's called In My Time of Dying.
My Time
Sorry.
of Dying.
What company is releasing it?
Which is a nod to a very old blues song. It's called Kill the Sun, and Kill the Sun Comics. They're a really awesome bunch of people. They had a huge drive last year to get as many comic books as they could, and I've been chatting to them over Zoom. They're just really awesome people, and very passionate about what they do. So I'm quite excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I like graphic novels as a format, just for storytelling. So that's definitely something that would be on my list regardless. So it's only out in the U.S., so we'll have to pick one up and send it to you, right?
Yeah. Sorry, that completely dropped away there, man.
It's all right. Bad joke was bad, man. Don't worry about it. I was saying since it's only out in the U.S., we'll have to send you a copy. So.
Well, I'm hoping against hope that next year things calm down a bit, so I'll be able to meet you guys at Adepticon again,
Oh, yeah, that'd be fantastic, man. Everybody's missing Adepticon right now.
or
So,
GenCon even.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, I mean, just stay for 4 months. Just that little 4 month period right there. You'll be happy. Josh will take you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Good.
So without spoiling your NDA,
Yeah.
of course, can you tell us anything about your Chaosium project?
Yeah. It's yeah, I'm trying to skirt the legality of it, but it is going to be
Don't do that if you don't
it's
have
going to be
to.
a campaign, so it's yeah, no, it's going to be a campaign, and it started life as something else entirely, but the more we worked on it, and the more sort of length and breadth and scope that it got, and just the level of detail that we put into it, it just felt kind of wasted to use it just as a source book, and it's strong enough to put as a campaign, and that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a sort of fourth dimensional Call of Cthulhu adventure that's going to have little links to pulp. I don't know, plastic, and a bit more, sort of airships and like gunfights and things like that. So there's going to be links to that as well, so you can be able to run it as pulp or run it as Call of Cthulhu as well. It takes place in Europe in a sort of fictional European setting, but unfortunately that's about all I can say for now.
That's okay.
But it's going to be it's going to have lots to do with art, culture, literature. It's going to be slightly more of a Silent Hill type horror, as opposed to massive tentacles coming out the wall. Yeah, so it's going to be different, but it's challenging as well, because it's Call of Cthulhu. It's a different genre. It's a different style of writing. My wheelhouse is generally sort of fantasy, Bushido, things like that, high fantasy. But Chaosium, and I mean, obviously the publishing standards of that company are just exceptional, and the stuff they've been putting out over the last, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 years is just incredible. So you've got some big shoes to fill, whenever you do anything for them. But yeah, so we're hoping to have that knocked out of the park before the end of next year. And yeah, as I said earlier, it'll be out in about a year or two, hopefully after that.
That's great. That's another thing I'm really excited about. As you know, and our viewers may not, I run a Call of Cthulhu campaign for some friends of mine. Matt actually is one of the players in the group. So I'm always looking for new adventures to send them on. And I just like reading that stuff in general. Reading those campaign.
Yeah, well, this is going to be it's going to be different.
Cool.
Yeah, no, this one's going to be very different to what most players are used to.
I'm in a different man.
I say that now, but who knows what the future holds.
Sure. So shifting gears a little bit, as we mentioned, you live in Cape Town, South Africa.
Yep. That's correct.
What is the gaming scene like there?
Man, it's it's peaks and troughs. It really is peaks and troughs, and it's very sort of flavor of the month sometimes. I got into gaming again probably about 7 or 8 years ago. Actually, no, probably a bit longer. But anyway, regardless, everyone was playing Warhammer 40K. That's what everyone was invested in, and that would probably been about the 5th edition rules, and also Warhammer Fantasy as well. So that was big, and there was enough of a player base. We used to have regular tournaments. We have national tournaments as well, where it's either in Johannesburg or it's in Cape Town. And every year it swaps. So yeah, there was a massive league, and it was really well supported. But over time, that kind of it's time. It's all about how much time people older, they start getting more responsibility, they start getting kids, or some of the younger guys are going off to university, things like that. So it takes a bit of a lull. But also there's also other games coming along all the time. So you got War Machine popped up, and everyone was playing War Machine for a while, and then that kind of slowed down a bit. At the moment everyone's into X-Wing, so everyone's playing X-Wing. So that's so it kind of, like I said, it goes with whatever everyone else is playing in the world. What role playing as well? I mean, role playing it's coming back in a big way. I mean, it really is, and I think that's more of a sort of, especially now with the pandemic, people have more time in their hand, so they a lot more guys are running games, and it seems to be D&D 5th edition seems to be quite popular at the moment, so a lot of people are playing it. We have several stores that you can walk into. None of them are on the level that you'll get like at Games Plus, as an example. You're not going to be able to walk into a store in South Africa and just get a huge range of something like that. And also we don't have many stores that have lasted that long. I mean, they tend to last maybe like a couple of years, and then unfortunately they go bankrupt, or they go under. I think what's prohibitive here, and especially in South Africa, is the cost. It's the cost is really, it's really expensive to get stuff here, because not only are we paying the base price that you would pay in the States, but we're also paying shipping costs on top of that. And then the guys who own the stores, obviously they need to make a profit. So there's a bit of, there's a bit more capped on top of that. So when you're buying something, I mean, as a person who works and has a salary, you still got to think twice about what you're buying. So, if you're a kid in school, man, you can't, it's going to take quite a few, mowing a lot of lawns and delivering a lot of newspapers to be able to afford anything, and so that's one of the sort of issues that we have here. But we've had a store in Cape Town. It's called Wizards, and it's been around since I think the 80s. And again, it's also, you can see what's happened with the industry. It's happened in the store. So initially it was just all role-playing stuff, and then Magic came, and as you know, Magic's just popular anywhere you are in the world. So Magic is pretty big, and then they got into selling that, and then obviously with the rise of board games, man, it's become very, very popular here in SA as well. Board games are, you can obviously get them from Amazon, so you're not paying too much, and that seems to be what's happening at the moment. A lot of Catan, a lot of just a lot of cool games at the moment. So there is a bit of a groundswell again. Obviously with lockdown sort of easing a little bit, guys are getting back into the stores. But unfortunately, I just took a look around. I mean, 2 of the stores that we used to go to, they're shut. They haven't managed to survive. And so that's
been a hard year for stores for sure, especially if they only focus on like events and stuff like that. Very hard.
Yeah, it is, because I mean, if you look at the spend of the customer, the average spend of a customer, if you've already, maybe you're buying glue, or maybe you're buying paints, or maybe some paintbrushes and stuff, but the markup and those kind of things, you got to sell a lot of paint to pay the rent, pay the staff, things like that. So it's tough, man. It's really, really tough, and it's all about disposable income at the moment,
Yeah. So talking, because you mentioned how the pandemic has affected stores.
Yeah.
We can segue into how has the pandemic affected working for you? I'm assuming not very much, since you work from home already.
Yeah, well, I work from home anyway, but I think what's been tough is the fact that I've got 2 boys and they've been at home, so I've been having to homeschool, and it eats into your day, man. It just eats into a lot of time, and it's only now over the last couple of weeks that they've gone back to school. So I'd say from about February up until now, it's been every other day has been 6 hours of homework or online stuff, because they're not old enough yet that they can completely self-sufficient. I've still got to show them how to use the computer and how to use the there's a sort of Zoom chat that they do with all the teachers and stuff like that. So my biggest thing is just been that it has literally just been teaching teaching my kids. But with regards to work, it's been tough. It's just a different mind space, man. It's the world's slowly burning, and it's just been really weird to be able to work. So I do a bit more work at nighttime, and once the day's sort of run its course. But another thing as well is that with all the shows being cancelled this year, I haven't been able to actually meet up with new clients. sort of shake a lot of hands and put faces to names and things like that. So that's
tough.
that's kind of sucked a bit, because normally like you got a Gen Con, you got an Adepticon, whatever, you meet people and you can drop off a business card, you can have a chat, and then it's not like a cold call, it's not like an anonymous email. You can actually put a face to a name, and so there's been none of that this year. But I have actually started working on a novel as well, just to add even more to my plate, which I'm hoping to have the first draft done probably around about March next year as well. I'm hoping to have the first draft done, and then I'll let it percolate for a couple of weeks, and then I'll dig it out, do a second draft, and then I'll send it out to you guys.
With all the COVID
darkness
going on, do you feel like your topics that you're writing with have changed, or like, do you feel like, because you've been doing more horror, it sounds like, is that part of that pivot, or was it kind of, were you like, I sometimes didn't want to delve into that darkness during all the stuff that's going on in the world?
I think, I think a classic example is I've been doing a lot of gaming now, with the pandemic and everyone being at home. So, we had a normal sort of monthly game going, and I was offered a game to play a game of Wraith, and for some reason it was like it's already a dark subject matter, but I don't know, I just couldn't bring myself to to actually get even darker at that specific time, and it's just been a crazy time, man. It's absolutely been a crazy time. I mean, I've saying all of that, I have enjoyed it. I've been able to game 3-4 times a week, and I'm gaming with guys in Germany. I'm gaming with guys in the UK. I'm hoping to get a couple of games, with you guys as well in the States. So with regards to that, it's been fun, but I think a lot of countries, we called our lockdown on the first day, same as the UK, but we had soldiers on the streets from day one, and we had police just everywhere. We had curfews at 8:00 in the evening. No one was allowed out after 8. All alcohol was banned, as an example. You couldn't buy alcohol. Everything was shut. Even tobacco was banned. There was no cigarettes, no vaping, no nothing. Everything was completely banned. So you got an entire country stuck indoors, and guys can't drink, guys can't smoke cigarettes. So it's been an interesting time in society, and it's only recently lifted a couple of weeks ago. So it's been a lot tougher, I think, here than in most places.
Yeah, it's been all pool parties and and stuff like that in the United States. So I wonder. Yeah, I mean, but we're not we're not seeing much of a slowdown. So we'll see how that live free or die mentality goes.
I'm assuming it will lean more towards die.
Yeah, as a personal aside, I've been running some games, and I've been trying to add in more festivities and just like stuff like that. Like, I've been playing some fantasy stuff, which I normally don't do either, and I've just been not making it lighthearted, but like, okay, well then you've got a reason to celebrate. Like, let me really dive deep into that, where it would have been a footnote.
Is that why we got to adopt baby manticores?
They're baby chimeras, but
chimeras.
You've got baby chimeras now. So, and that's why there was that fireworks display with that bright wizard and stuff like that. And like, I was just trying to like, and I always make sure, everything I always do in all my games, I always make sure I let you know what you had to eat that day too. That's important to me. It brings it in. But I think I know what you're saying. Like, I think if somebody asked me to play Wraith right now, I'd probably be like, sorry, ass. Like, I can't go in that headspace right now.
No.
Yeah, I am trying to be cautious with the Cthulhu game, to not be overly dark, and I'm trying to stay away from things that come off as diseases. I'm trying to sort of avoid that subject matter, just because it's an escape for everyone, and we need that, and I don't want to remind everyone of what the real world is like. is the real world worse than the world that our characters are living in the role playing games? I don't know, but you know, it's nice to have those escapes. So are you GMing any of these games? Are you playing, or both?
I'm DMing 3 of them, and I'm playing in 1. And yeah, it's really cool because it's such a mixture of people, man. You know, it's like, you know, I'm playing with guys that I used to play with when I was a teenager back in school, and I'm playing with him, and I'm playing with his kids. So we're having, you know, it's great to see that sort of generational role playing thing. But just keeping it simple, man. Just, you know, keeping it light and easy. You know, nothing too strenuous. We've been playing a little bit of Dungeon Crawl Classics, which is just so much fun. It really, really is. And I was actually segueing into that. I was fortunate enough to do a bit of writing for them as well last year, in a project that they kickstarted very successfully in the Fritz Lieber realm of Lankmar.
Yeah.
So that's also, yeah, that was the Gen Con tournament module. I managed to do two of the scenarios for that, which was just so much fun because the quality of writing for Goodman Games is just exemplary, and you know, you've really got to be on your A game. You really have to be on your A game when it comes to this stuff, because it is just so, yeah, just better than most of the stuff out there. So yeah, it's just been having time to be able to just make up, you know, and just play as much as we can. Yeah, it's been good. It's been really fun.
So
Good way to stay sane in these days, for sure.
Sorry, say again.
Good way to stay sane these days, getting those games. Are you guys
Yeah,
losing
very
me?
much so. Yeah. Got your back.
The one of my standout role-playing game moments was at Adepticon, the last actual Adepticon, where you ran a game for a small group.
Yeah, that was it.
And it got a little wild and chaotic. Thanks to Gordon.
Thanks to Gordon, yeah.
But that moment, which was arguably terrible since it was a total party kill essentially,
Yeah.
that you managed to sort of spirit us back from. But that particular moment really stood out to me as just a fantastic story. It's one that I really enjoy telling, and I was wondering if you have any standout moments from your DMing experiences that you know, you'd like to share.
Sure. To be honest, I don't have any one sort of scenario, man. I have fond memories of games, you know, like games that, it's the funny thing is, like, someone will play something like a classic, you know, they'll say like, oh, you got to play, you know, the Keep on the Borderlands, or you got to play this, or you got to play that, and then you play it, and then, I'm not saying the Keep, because that's a great adventure, but you find that sometimes your tastes run completely different to someone else's. So there's a lot of games that I've played over the years that people have rated highly that I've played, and I just thought, nah, that just didn't tick any boxes for me at all. But some of the cool ones were, there's a, a game called Drums and Fire Mountain, which is an old basic expert Aladsair. It's an expert D&D module, and it's got a Union Jack on the cover because it was designed by the British guys. I think if you looked at it now in 2020, cultural appropriation would unfortunately rear its ugly head quite massively, because it's a little bit too on the nose. But there was just a great scene where the guy was this mage, and he just wiped everything out. And in this little area, there was a statue with 2 glowing red eyes, and he thought, right, I'm going to have these eyes. So he jumped up and took them out, and then obviously he gets cursed and his eyes glow red. So for the next 5 years, this guy's eyes just glow red, you know, from this curse. So that was always funny, and it's just something we always call him, you know, to this day, Red Eye. So yeah, but that's it. It depends, man. It all depends on the moment, eh? It all depends on the moment.
Sure.
But I like what's happening with some of the stuff that's coming out of Wizards of the Coast at the moment, like Curse of Strahd. That's just I've been running that now for the last 3 years, nearly. Yeah, that's great. We have been playing it a little bit, and again, it's quite dark subject matter because it's obviously, you know, vampires and all that kind of stuff. So we've shortened the sessions. We play for maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hours tops, whereas before we play, you know, 6, 7, 8 hours. But that to me is like one of the standout games I've been rocking in the last couple of whiles. And as I said earlier, anything from Dungeon Crawl Classics, man, it's just phenomenal. Especially the stuff that Harley Stroh does. His stuff is great.
Yeah, we don't do 8-hour games. So, I limit the games that I run to 3 hours max.
Yeah.
It's always a hard cap. I'm too old. I can't stay up that late, and I get tired and cranky if I play longer.
Okay. So how long do you play for?
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. You see that's not long enough, man.
Yeah, it's occasionally difficult because we also are only doing sessions every other week.
Yeah.
And so when, like last week, one of the guys couldn't make it, and there's only 3 players in the campaign. So if one guy can't make it, that's kind of it. We got to pause it, and because of everything else going on, then we have to wait another 2 weeks before we play again. And it's kind of a bummer, but life is what it is, and we'll get through it all eventually.
Yeah, here's a question I have for you guys. Have you been able to paint your miniatures, or are they just all collecting dust?
I mean, I'm not much of a painter anyway. I'm not gonna lie. So, I mean, I've been doing other kind of like hobby stuff that are, some of it's outside of the realm. But I mean, well, most of my hobby time recently has been taken up by trying to get this going virtual and, you know, flailing about on the internet. But I think I've been more RPG book collecting and reading during all of this than anything else. Like, it's gotten absurd. My book, I need another bookshelf.
What have you been buying?
Kind of all over the place, but I try to lean more like on indie stuff. Not necessarily just Kickstarters, but I'll do some. Like I'll do a Kickstarter if it's actually for like the whole reason Kickstarter exists. Like this company, you know, like okay, yeah, they've got rough art and stuff like that. That's more appealing to me. And then like there's a company called Exalted Funeral out of Idaho that's like kind of like more metal focused. I'm not really like a metal guy, but like I like some dark books. We were just talking about. So I'll go, and I've probably been buying less of them now because, you know, COVID darkness, but they're pretty well curated too. So they're a good place to buy stuff. And then I'll just go on Noble Knight Games and get some weird wackadoo stuff from the 90s usually. I know 90s were a strange kind of time in RPG gaming. Yeah. And I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I use Noble Knight as well, because as I said earlier, you know, the sort of RPG scene here is flavor of the month. So yeah, if you want to get anything of any sort of merit, you've got to order it from Noble, and it just it's amazing. You know, it really is just the sheer selection that you've got.
They were kind enough to
actually just get your hands on, you know.
the
So a lot of it's like teenage me buying because I couldn't get it as a teenager. Because back in the 80s in South Africa, man, the stuff was, you just couldn't get it.
I still have a stack of stuff that's for
I
you.
lost you completely there, Matt.
Are you back? Can you hear me?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
So yeah, I still have that stack of stuff. If you decide that you want me to try shipping it, you just let me know and I'll take care of it. Otherwise, it'll wait till.
No, that's cool. You keep it. I'll the next convention.
I may have added to the pile.
Yeah, that's cool
for you too. So for me, hobby.
Oh, that's great. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. For me, hobbying really stopped when Adepticon got canceled. I was in a real crunch for prep for events that I was running, and the cancellation really took the wind out of my sails. And for me, Never been a competitive gamer. I just like to tell stories. And so I've sort of transitioned completely from minis to role-playing games.
Yeah.
And I've been also collecting a lot of books and reading a lot of books. And it actually sort of started last year at Dragon-Fall, because I won the Call of Cthulhu starter set. I had never really been familiar with any of it. I mean, I'm familiar with Lovecraftian mythos and all of that, and I really like playing Mansions of Madness by Fantasy Flight. It's probably the second edition is probably one of my favorite board games. So the starter set for that game is really cool because it starts you off without reading a rule book. It dumps you into a single player, almost choose your own adventure. And through the process, through that game, they teach you the basics of the rules. They teach you how to create a character. And playing through it is a lot of fun, and it really got me interested. That's the whole thing that sort of pushed me to switch. And Matt's been gently pushing other games on me too, which is a good thing. So my collection of RPG books has gotten quite a lot bigger in the last few months.
Okay. What have you been buying specifically?
A lot of the Chaosium source books. Some of the new stuff, and some of the really old stuff is really well done. And I just most recently I picked up their Harlem Unbound, the 1920s Harlem, New York.
Yeah, man, it's amazing.
It is a great book. It is a great book to read just for the history.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that I was sort of aware of, you know, a lot of racial injustice in that time and place. And there were a lot of things that I was sort of aware of existing, and a lot of things that I had been introduced to. The Harlem Hellfighters, for example, our friend Lee from Gaddis Games has a line of miniatures for them. And so I was aware of all that stuff, but being able to read through the history was just fascinating. I got to figure out how to work some of that into a game.
Yeah.
And still be sensitive to everything. You know, it's tough.
Yeah, Chris Spivey, the guy who wrote that's doing he did a Kickstarter for a Western setting. 1 second.
Okay.
And I'm excited to get that in my hand.
Cool.
Yeah, I read that when it came out last year, the Harlem Unbound, and it's just a beautiful book. I mean, even if you don't game, you just want to read it because it's
it's great. Haunted West is the upcoming one, so I can't wait to get that. That's in my midst. He's great. He's a good writer, man. Very good.
He's super talented, man. He really is. Yeah. Have you seen the Berlin book? Chaosium's Berlin, Wicked Berlin.
I've seen it. I flipped through it at the store, but I haven't picked that one up.
That's also good. I mean, it's the complete sort of, it's the same time frame, obviously, but it's just like it's a world away, sort of post World War One, and the artwork again is exemplary. The writing is just amazing. It's good. It's that sort of decadent Berlin era, sort of before the rise of fascism and that kind of thing. It's good. It's worth checking out.
Cool. I will absolutely add that to my list.
Yeah.
So you mentioned music, and you and I really bonded over our love of music, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you notice, Alasdair is wearing a Player's Guitar shirt. Player's Guitar is a small guitar shop on the south side of Chicago.
Dun, dun.
And I'm happy to see that. I'm also wearing a t-shirt from South Africa. There was a t-shirt trade. But what I was wondering is what's hot for you right now? What are you listening to?
Man, it goes and swings and roundabouts. So I mean, I've been doing like a lot of bands that I listened to growing up. You know, I grew up in a house with just about every genre. I mean, I grew up with 3 elder brothers who were older than me. And so, you know, one room you'd have like AC/DC or Black Sabbath, you know, coming from it. The other room you'd have Pink Floyd or Leonard Cohen or what's his name, Lou Reed, you know, Velvet Underground. And then the other one would be like Queen, you know, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, things like that. And then my dad was just a huge jazz blues aficionado because he used to be a sailor in the Merchant Navy. So he would sail from the UK to America often, and he would come back with just, you know, trunk loads of records from chess recordings, all that blues stuff. And yeah, so that's what I grew up on, man. So I've just been getting back into a lot of that stuff. But then occasionally, like I'll be watching a series or like a show, and something will just, you know, twig, and something will just pique my interest. Like Kurt Weill. I don't know if you've heard Kurt Weill.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
I'd never heard of him. I'd never heard of him or the band called The War on Drugs. Never heard of either. But I was watching a show the other day, and they had one of his songs in it, and I thought, right, that's cool. So I did a bit of research on that, and been listening to that. Drive-By Truckers, man, can't go wrong with them. I've been listening to their latest album.
It's good.
And they also have a new album coming out as well. So yeah, and then also, you know, I have been a metal fan all of my life, sort of hard rock, Zeppelin, Deep Purple, that kind of stuff. And I thought, right, in this time, let me try and give the Grateful Dead a go, because for the longest time, I've never been able to make it work. You know what I mean? And you'd think it'd be like right up my alley. You know, it's got skulls, it's got, you know, references to narcotics and just day drinking and just long rambling songs. And it just, I don't know, man.
It's not for everyone.
I've done my work. I've been listening to every. It's not, but I don't understand. It's just, I don't know. But yeah, so I've been trying to get into the Grateful Dead and failing horribly, absolutely horribly. I got a couple of tracks that I really enjoy, and those have made
I think you might be succeeding by not getting into the Grateful Dead. I think you're doing just fine.
I don't know. I feel guilty. I feel guilty, man. You know,
you shouldn't.
Everyone's like, "Oh, what about this Grateful
I
Dead?"
can find.
Like, no, dude, sorry.
I can find pieces in songs that I like, but overall, not for me.
Nope.
Not for me at all.
A hard no for me. Hard no for me.
Yeah, so I've been trying, but obviously the new AC/DC's out soon. They've just released another track. I think it was 2 days ago. They dropped the track. Actually, on the day that Eddie Van Halen passed away, that track came out, which is also quite sad because I'm a big Van Halen fan. So
there's probably more rock music. I like rock stuff, but there's probably more rock music I don't like than I do. I think I'm one of those guys. But yeah, Alasdair, so yeah, thanks. We're hitting about that time. So I mean, this has been a lot of fun, man. This is just kind of like a friendship hanging out session, and I feel like
exactly.
It was informative, but also we got to chat, man. Like, so if people are looking for more Alasdair Cunningham, and why wouldn't they? Like, do you have a social media presence that you'd like to plug, or just want to go over your upcoming projects and stuff like that, where you can read your work?
Not really. I tend to just kind of keep myself to myself. No, I mean, it's GCT Studios. That's my sort of, that's the guys that I've been writing for a while now. That's the Bushido, you know, the miniature tabletop stuff. But once things have formalized a little bit more, then I'll definitely give you guys some details. But up until now,
we'll have to do a recap session.
Just low key, very low key.
All right. Well,
definitely, we'll do it next year.
Yeah.
And I got to apologize, man. My bandwidth has just been absolutely diabolical. So
it's fine. Like, I feel like we've had a couple times where we kind of stepped over each other, but it's kind of forced me to shut up, which is not something I'm good at. So. It probably made it a stronger video for that. So
Good
yeah,
stuff.
thanks for your time, man. Thanks for everyone that's donated to the Dragon-Fall Charitable Foundation. Everyone that has subscribed will be a part of our giveaways and stuff like that. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for your time, Alasdair and Josh, as always. And
thank you.
I'd like to thank my cats for sleeping and not bothering us this entire video. So yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks, Alasdair.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Much appreciated.